Am I the a-hole for not going to my best friend's wedding after he stripped me of being his best man and leaving me entirely out of his wedding? I 25M have been best friends with Henry 25M my entire life, literally back as babies in daycare we were best friends. Our moms always said we've always been inseparable and yay, we even were roommates from 18 to 22. 4 years ago we both dated a pair of best friends, a stupid idea with foresight I know, but at the time we thought it was cool and honestly we didn't see them lasting as long as they did. They got married while my girlfriend cheated on me a few months back. They got married last month. I was supposed to be my friend's best man while my now ex was the maid of honor, but after I found out she was cheating we had a nasty fight and a nastier breakup. My friend's wife obviously took my ex's side and demanded I be dropped as the best and entirely out of the wedding. Henry, who never was the confrontational guy, obliged and told me he didn't want drama in his wedding and had another one of our friends as his best man. I wasn't even one of the groomsmen. I was hurt. I told him that we've been best friends since we were in effing diapers. I was just supposed to be a regular guest at his damn wedding. He said I'm lucky I was even still invited. I asked him if I even get to have a speech at the ceremony and he said no, so I told him I'd do him one better and not go at all as a wedding gift to his wife. We had big fights about it and he called me petty and childish. I called him spineless. The wedding happened and I didn't go. They went on as usual and looked very happy in the pictures and honestly I was crying the entire day. I was looking forward to this day for months and I spent it all alone at home. Even my parents and sisters were there and I wasn't. I was supposed to be right by his side man. He still hasn't reached out to me at all since then. And honestly I'm starting to regret it. I love him so much and can't imagine life without him. Was I the a-hole? Will he hate me forever now? The maid of honor should have been dropped since she's the one who cheated and was in the wrong. Your friend was spineless. TBF, he was spineless. You have been friends for over 20 years. If you had been the one that cheated is get it, but you've been punished twice over NTA. OP replies. She was cheating on me for over a year too and his wife knew and helped cover it up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for being upset my husband gave away our roasts while I slept? I went to the store and bought 2 roasts for a total of around $40, veggies, etc. and made both roasts so the cost with everything was probably $1.50 plus. I had been complaining to my husband recently that I am tired of cooking big meals for every meal and how much it's draining me. I spent all night cooking these roasts. I did this so we could store the extra and use it for a few days to give me a break. I was so tired today so he took over with the kids alone and told me to take a nap. We normally parent together but when one of needs something we take over to help as couples should. When I was napping he and the kids ate some of the roast and then he gave the rest to my sister's family. He says I'm upset for no reason as he didn't think we had room in our fridge for the bowl it was in. We have Ziploc bags I was going to put it in. And now that's like $50 worth of food that went to one meal. To clarify something, I didn't eat any but I don't eat meat so he knew I wasn't going to. So after I got up I had to cook dinner for myself, him, and the kids because there was basically no roast left. I do feel like I should have specifically mentioned that it was meant for a few days but there was so much I never thought he was going to give it away. I'm not yelling or anything. I just got really silent and he knew I was upset. I normally wouldn't have cared if he shared with them but this was such an expensive time-consuming meal. My husband doesn't do most of the cooking because I can do more balanced diet for the kids and he works from home so it makes it more convenient. Update for clarification. My sister made chicken noodle soup from scratch yesterday for all of us too but we gave her ingredients for it as well as it was a planned meal. She's making pizza from scratch for us tomorrow and again it is a planned meal so we supplied her with our share of ingredients for that too. She knew he said there was no room in the fridge and they ate their portion for lunch. He did not tell her it was an accident like some people interpreted. Final update, holy assumptions. Haha. No, we are not in a cult. My sister and her family live here with us. My husband apologized now and says from now on he will ask first and I feel a lot better. No, I'm not teaching my kids that only women can cook. I'm teaching my kids that relationships differ and you do the things you are good at. My husband made a dumb decision and he recognizes that now but the amount of assumptions people have came up with is wild. NTA. I'd be livid if I spent all that time preparing that and my partner just gave it away without asking me first. Perhaps he should try cooking some meals himself so he understands the time and effort and thoughtfulness that go into them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting a relationship with the girl I raised as my daughter? I, 42M, had a daughter, now 18F. I tried my best but it wasn't an easy relationship. I found out when she was 12 her long-term stepdad was actually her biological father. He lived with her and my ex for a few years. I also found out my daughter knew he was her biological father for a few years at that point too. Her, my ex and the stepdad knew but never told me anything. So I challenged the courts and they stopped my maintenance. Because that happened, she didn't want a relationship with me. And then a couple of years later, her bio dad got parental responsibility for her and we parted ways. I haven't had contact with her for a few years later now, but she's had a relationship with family members. Recently, my mum sadly died and my dad invited her to the funeral. Despite not seeing her for a good 5 years or so, I hugged her and gave her a kiss. I exchanged pleasantries and thought that was it. I was just trying to be cordial. I received a really long message from her on my social media saying how much the meeting meant to her and she wanted to meet up again, that she missed me and regretted the way things went and wanted to reconnect. I've ignored it because I feel so hurt still. My dad disagrees. He said he thinks she's still like a granddaughter to him and should meet her. I've ignored them so far. Am I the a-hole for not wanting a relationship? As a father of kids with complicated backgrounds, I would say this. Don't hold the actions of a child or teenager against them. If a young person reaches out to you, seeking a relationship, do what you can to be there for them. Lots of kids get groomed or twisted by the adults they live with. And teenagers have a lot of trouble figuring out who they are. Life is very hard, and it is even harder for young adults with complicated childhoods. Those young people need all the support we can provide them. Up to you. NTA. If you're still hurt, doesn't that mean she does matter to you? She was 14 when she cut contact. I wouldn't hold it against her that much. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my brother after his ex-girlfriend scammed him out of nearly half the equity of his house? I, 37F, have an older brother George, 45M, who isn't an idiot but he can be lazy. Definitely the type to rely on weaponized incompetence whenever women and girls are around. Example, he literally acted like he didn't know where our mom kept the paper plates in the house he lived in for nearly 20 years just so she'd get up, go into the kitchen and make him his plate during the holidays, just 1 week post her bunion surgery. Side note, they both tried to passive-aggressively make me feel guilty for not offering to fix my adult brothers so our mom wouldn't have to do it. Like I wasn't the only doing the most of cooking and would be doing most of cleaning afterwards. At age 30 George was given a windfall from our grandfather's estate. I got something too, and used it as a down payment for a nice 5-bedroom house and that easily worth double now. During this time he met Melinda, 50F, and she was nice lady. Smart, responsible, hardworking, sweet and very organized. She came into the relationship with a steady job and was upfront about lack of ability to have more children after complications from nearly losing her life giving her to her daughter. George stated that he was okay with that, but whenever Melinda would bring up his hesitation regarding marriage he'd say that he had complicated feelings about not being able to be a father if he chose to fully commit to her that he needed to process. Saying that since he was willing to look over her fertility issues because he loved her, that she needed to show her love by waiting for him. That line worked for 12 years. After Melinda moved in, George demanded that she pay half the bills and part of his mortgage in exchanging for allowing Melinda's daughter to move in with her. At the time Melinda had little options as her former landlord was raising the rent too high and she was helping pay for her sister's medical bills. Melinda and George justified to everyone by saying what she would have had to pay to George was still cheaper in rent at her old place. I said nothing because not my relationship. 2 years ago George was caught cheating and Melinda was furious then left. I don't know all the details but she came back seeming to work things out. Didn't stop George from cheating but Melinda shrugged and said that this was still a better deal and so long as kept it from the house she's cope. Recently there was some type of damage to George's house and he needed people to come in and fix it, but he hated the labor of searching for a reliable contractor, taking time away from his job/hobbies to deal with them and the paperwork. Melinda offered to do it and he didn't question it. Whatever she gave, he signed, and in front of third-party witnesses. Melinda got George to sign paperwork stating that she was entitled to 45% of his house. Now she's dumped him and is demanding that George either sell his house or buy her out. George is trying to fight this, citing that he didn't fully understand what he was agreeing to and he's found a lawyer willing to take his case but his fees are expensive. George and our mom think that I should help, but I'm refusing. I don't see why I have to shell out thousands to save another grown man from his own lack foresight, especially when there's a good chance he won't even win. I'm being called heartless and a bad sister, so I have to ask, am I the a-hole? Relevant, top comments. Downvoted commenter, you can't give a part of the house without a notary contract. Whatever he signed, he's an idiot for not reading. He should have left this woman a long time ago. OP replies, I believe the third party who witnessed my brother sign the documents was a licensed notary. Commenter 1, NTA. But who is expecting to have more kids with a 50 years old? For me, it sounds more like he was looking for an excuse to play victim since the beginning of the relationship. BTW, I'm not the youngest woman and I think this question is important. OP replies, she was in her 40s when they got together, but I agree he was just using that as an excuse. Commenter 2, I think it's funny how you say he's not an idiot and then you go on to explain exactly why he is an idiot. OP replies, I truly don't believe that my brother is an idiot. He's just lazy. Like if he actually put in the time and work to actually fact-check, Melinda wouldn't have been able to do what she did. Commenter 3, NTA George had it coming. Stringing that woman along for years, manipulating her by making her feel guilty over not being able to have more children, having her pay half the mortgage for his house and then cheating on her? He made the bed, let him lay in it. Commenter 4, NTA. Your brother is a cheater and a fool. Was Melinda a bit underhanded? Arguably yes. Does she deserve a share of the house in return for all she paid into it, not to mention 12 years of domestic and emotional labor? Arguably also yes. But when it comes to whether you should shell out for your brother's legal fees, the answer is an unequivocal no. He was a huge and ridiculously careless with his most significant asset, and that's not your responsibility to fix. He's an adult, he needs to fix his own mistake. Commenter 5, NTA. George made bad choices and is responsible for the mess that followed. Further, he is not that intelligent, if he is signing something without reading it. Melinda may have acted underhanded. But I'm not mad at her about it, because George used her. He strung her along and let her pay rent and mortgage. She is entitled to this share, as she sacrificed years for him. She could have found someone better. She now can, but still the years she wasted on him will never come back. Anyway, George reaped what he had sowed. It's deserved. And I wouldn't want to pay for his mistake, either. Update. Quick recap. Brother and mother are trying to guilt me into giving my brother money to pay for an attorney in order to prevent brother's former long-term/live-in girlfriend from getting a payout after he claims she tricked him into signing documents making her a partial owner. Okay, there's been an update and I have to say, while I still don't think my brother is an idiot overall, he is a lazy and very arrogant dumb. I also wanted to clarify a few things as well. Melinda and my brother were in a relationship for 12 years, but they only started living together for about 9 to 10 years. Also, the documents were signed in the presence of a notary who asked my brother if he understood the context of the documents, and he affirmed that he did. And to the person who said that my brother was house poor, you hit the nail on the hammer. My brother spent the majority of his inheritance and savings on buying that house, and it barely had any furniture in it. When Melinda moved in, she paid to have it furnished on top of splitting the utilities and paying rent. Now on to the new stuff. When my brother's house needed fixing, he let Melinda do the grunt work of finding reputable establishments to consider because he didn't want to be bothered. Melinda presented him with up to 3 options and convinced him to go with Company A, not real name, because they were offering seasonal discounts for first-time customers and/or new owners for specific items. Melinda's plan to get the both discounts was to present it as if she recently became the partial owner and had my brother email Company A to see if they'd be willing to accept that. Company A responded that if Melinda recently became part owner of the house, then they'd be willing to give a partial discount as a courtesy. Company A was a small business but with an excellent reputation in terms of service, quality of work, and meeting deadlines, so my brother was all in. What my brother didn't realize was that Company A went by the honor system when it came to Melinda and my brother's case, but on their website it did say proper document needed to be shown, so Melinda told my brother that she'd come up with fake documents that he could sign in the presence of a notary that she knew through a friend who was supposed to be in on the scam. They weren't, but that's what she told my brother. The actual signing was at their home in front of the notary and 2 people from Company A who were initially there to survey the area. So basically my brother thought that he and Melinda were scamming Company A when in reality Melinda was scamming him. He thought the documents he was signing were fake, but they were real, and that's his defense. This is why he had trouble finding a lawyer. Wouldn't blame anyone here who thought that this was fake, because what the F. So anyway, I'm not going to give him the money, but I will give him a list of realtors. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel. Our posts